And welcome back, everybody, to a very exciting episode of the TV show. Angelo Cataldi is back, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we were so excited to have him. Rhea Hughes is here, looking great despite a head cold. Rhea, how do you manage that? I look like a mess whenever I'm sick. And for the first time, this is a very important thing. The world needs to know. This might be the only time you're ever listening to me when I'm not full of crap, ladies and gentlemen. I have I'm leaving directly after this podcast to go get a colonoscopy. I haven't eaten in 36 hours, and I've taken all the medicine that you're supposed to take. I'm completely flushed. If I'm not completely flushed, you guys are going to have to cover the podcast for a few minutes. I got a bathroom right behind me if I need to run, but I should be good. And you know how paranoid I am, guys. Angelo, you're muted again, Angelo. I don't know why. You know how I usually show up for this podcast with my hair and my shirts.
Yes.
I didn't want them to make fun of me while I was asleep, so I actually combed my hair.
You did your hair for anesthesia.
Yeah.
Well done.
I didn't want to be one of those people where like a recording surfaced of them making fun of the guy while he was under. Like I got to tell you, the best compliment I ever got was after my last colonoscopy. The guy came out and said, "Hey Jay, I noticed you did the full treatment." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Most people don't do the full treatment, but I know that you did." And I said, "How do you know?" And I swear to God, he goes, "Clean as a whistle."
Oh God,
wow.
Dear God.
You
Thank
must
you
be proud.
How about
I got
that,
the same
guys?
thing, Jay. The last time I had a colonoscopy, they said exactly what Rhea said to me for years. They said, you are a perfect a-hole.
All right.
Very true.
Said, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to get to today. And I want to talk about what I think is the biggest story of the week, which is that The Devil Wears Prada made $77 million domestically this weekend, $233 million worldwide. These comedies are not supposed to travel around the world, but you put in megastars like Meryl Streep and you put in fashion, people care about it. And, this was a sequel that kind of came out of nowhere. It's not a franchise. It isn't like they were trying to build to the Avengers of fashion. They were just doing a movie 20 years ago. 20 years later, they decided to do it again. And it feels to me, Rhea, I want to start with you because I feel like you're in this underserved demographic, that this is what we would call a woman's picture back in the 50s. And is it possible that Hollywood might be ignoring women in favor of chasing teenage boys with Marvel movies? And this is proof of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's simple math that goes on right here. So I was reading about this in the Wrap, and it said in there that there's 125 million people living in the US over 50, longer and healthier. And a majority of them are women, since we generally seem, for some reason, to outlive men. I don't know why that is, since you annoy the crap out of us. Speaking of that, Jay, instead of taking the medicine, just be yourself. But so there's that. But I also think Devil Wears Prada is a movie that's just been beloved. But and really, like, I know guys who love the movie, and I don't know if you guys love it, but it's a tremendous movie. So you have that. You have people who were at the time at the top of their game. Meryl Streep. Look, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway survived being one of the most hated people in Hollywood for a time. Now, who doesn't love Stanley Tucci? Everybody loves Emily Blunt. You've got four major stars who are at the focal point of it. But you also have, a story about women in business. And, Angelo will tell you a long time ago, somebody said to him one time, see, I was working in a man's world, okay? And I had to be tougher. And they one time said to Angelo, she's a real bitch. And Angelo, to his credit, said, if she was a guy, you'd never make that statement.
Yeah.
Women are loving this movie because it's women in charge. It's women as the boss. And it's also funny. So it's not just, shoving, some feminism down your throat. It's a fun story, and it's great people acting in it. I think all that, and the fashion is fun. So I think all of that plays into it.
Angelo, you are always asking for movies like this, right? I mean, we could argue that you are the underserved demographic too. Tell me a story about people, is what Angelo Cataldi wants. You agree with this?
Well, the thing is, later in this podcast, Jay and I, who have both seen the film in its entirety, will compare notes on it, and we
Oh
are
boy.
not in agreement. All right, but let me just say that the monster success of this film is. I would love to tell you that they've decided in Hollywood to start telling us stories again. But no, I have never in my life seen a movie promoted with the energy and ferocity
Yeah.
of this film. Meryl Streep was everywhere for 10 days.
Yep.
Stanley Tucci toured with Emily Blunt because Stanley Tucci is married to Emily Blunt's
Yes.
sister. So she's a sister-in-law. And they were all that, and Anne Hathaway, Rhea just said it. I've always loved Anne Hathaway. I'm glad she's getting her props now. But promotion was the biggest thing.
Yep.
So what it tells you is mostly these stupid teenage boys that have to see something blow up every 5 minutes, right? You don't have to promote to them. If you say Marvel, they'll show up.
Yep.
This showed you the value of promoting the way they once did, 20 years ago, where just a regular movie would come out and you'd see all these people, presenting the reason why it was great, the stars of it. And that's what you saw. This is an outlier, Jay. This is not the indication of a trend.
I'm not sure though, Ange, because there's a movie coming out soon that I'm super excited about it because I also loved it. And I think it was also 20 years ago. Practical Magic 2.
Oh,
Nicole
yeah.
Kidman
Yeah.
and Sandra Bullock. Those are two hugely bankable stars. They put the trailer out and I was like, oh, I'm in. I'm in. So I think I want to see how that plays out. And I'm sure those two, Nicole Kidman knows a thing or two about promotion. I think those two are going to promote the heck out of that.
Could be.
I'll tell you guys, the other thing I liked, the youngest person in that movie is 43, right? So Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt are both 43. Meryl Streep is well into her late 70s.
76.
76. By the way, she looks fantastic.
She looks
She
phenomenal.
really does.
I'm glad she's dating Martin Short. A little bit of laughter in your life, ladies, makes you look young, just saying. But yeah, I will talk later about it because I find it very interesting that this movie went against every single common sense thing in Hollywood and defeated everybody this week. It's a great story. All right, Angela, I want to talk to you about SNL. I know, Rhea, you don't watch as religiously as Angela and I do. There was a great episode this past one with Olivia Rodrigo. I thought it had a ton of great sketches, but it had a great opening sketch that absolutely destroyed Pete Hegseth, and they brought in Aziz Ansari to be Kash Patel.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. His whole bit was, I'm a trailblazer. I'm the first Indian to be bad at his job, which is just great, just great. And it got me to thinking, because this month Colbert goes off the air, Jimmy Kimmel is under fire from the FCC. And my question to you, Angelo, is, Trump has a thin skin, but SNL seems to get away with all of these attacks on the administration, these political bits, without having the same fallout as Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert. Do you see a reason behind that, or is it just the capriciousness of the man in charge?
Yeah, no, I really think that it's SNL has a different reputation than all the other shows that are annoying the current president. And that is that whoever's in power, get trashed. And I remember Sarah Palin when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler with Hillary. They've done it either way. But I will say this, right? I have never seen Colin Jost act until he took on the persona of Pete Hegseth. And although it's a caricature, Pete Hegseth is kind of a character anyway.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Fantastic. And you're right about Olivia Rodrigo. My God, she's 23 years old, Jay. And she can sing, she can act. She crushed it in that hosting job. As good as any host has been recently, she was. But the thing is, Kimmel, here's the thing about Kimmel. This is what I love about what's going on right now. Kimmel, every day now, is getting ripped by the White House for something. Melania went after him a few days ago. All ramped up charges about nothing. He's telling jokes.
Yeah.
Deal with it. My God. And then all these people from Fox News are going, well, the problem is he's not funny. He's funny to me.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
somebody have to be funny to everyone in order to make you happy with your political views? No. Shut up. Let me enjoy it. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
And I just think that right now, this is one of the best seasons ever for monologues
Yeah.
because Trump has given them a ton to work with. And I think rather than back off because they suspended Kimmel for this stuff, they're ramping it up. You should see Jon Stewart the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart did a bit on the assassination attempt at the Correspondents' dinner that is the funniest thing I've seen all year. He analyzed tape from it and who was doing what. Like one guy was still eating his salad.
Right. Yeah. No, I saw that. It was great.
Another woman was stealing all the wine
I loved
bottles.
her. She was stealing the wine. I thought that was
Yeah.
No,
fun.
and he did a bit on it, Rhea, for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was uproarious.
I have a theory as to why the administration does not go after SNL. Jimmy Kimmel is a name. Stephen Colbert is a name. The people who are acting out, there's a couple of names,
True.
but for the most part, middle America doesn't, it's not like SNL back in the day where we knew Eddie Murphy, all those people. These are people clearly acting out scripted parts, but it's harder to go after people who
It's true.
everyday people doesn't have a name to.
It's a fair
It's a
point.
great
That's a
theory.
very fair point. I had a similar theory, which is that that SNL caricatures tend to soften a person rather than
They make them
eviscerate
funny.
a person.
That's
because,
true.
Like if you think about Dana Carvey's H.W. Bush, not gonna do it, and 1,000 Points of Light, he became more lovable in the caricature than he was hateable. And I think if you're making jokes about a person, it's easy to hate them. If you're making jokes as a person, it's easier to like them. And Donald Trump is a dum-dum, but he's not stupid
right,
when
Jay.
it comes to media stuff.
Calm down. Save that
sorry,
for
right,
the
right.
internet.
Sorry, come to my Instagram if you want to see more biting satire like that. All right, let's switch over to a topic that I think some of our younger listeners might not know anything about. It occurred to me that we're in May, which used to be a very big time in television. Angela, you remember this time?
Yeah.
It used to be May sweeps, and I don't know if radio had something similar.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
You did? Okay. Well, basically, 4 months a year, back before they could constantly figure out what you were watching, they would have diaries sent out for February, for May, and I think it was October or November sweeps, something like that. But 4 times a year, those were the important times where people figured out what you were watching. So networks would always do these big stunts for May sweeps, stuff like Who Shot JR, Ellen coming out. So it was very cool stuff. There was a live episode. So Rhea, I'm curious as to your thoughts. Do you remember a sweeps event from your past that stuck out? And are sweeps events gone? And do you miss them?
They might be, but the one I remember, this one was a February sweep song because I love Seinfeld when it was on. I have tried to rewatch it. I don't think it has aged well, and that's just my opinion. I know people disagree with me, but the one episode that I thought was absolutely one of the most brilliant episodes ever, it was sweeps. It was the Magic Loogie, the Keith Hernandez.
Yeah.
Who did the spit. I mean, the second
Right.
spit, the
Right.
back and the front.
Right.
That was one of the funniest episodes I think Seinfeld ever did. And it was during sweeps in February, and it was brilliant.
Angela, do you have one that sticks out for you?
Well, yeah. First of all, it's varied. The sweeps months have varied. Back in February, many years ago, Happy Days literally jumped the shark.
Yes. Yeah.
During the sweeps. They had Fonzie jump over shark, and it became famous. My favorite one was because I had no inkling, and I was a big fan of The Good Wife, and it was basically two characters, Julia Anna Margulies and Josh Charles. And in the middle of season 4, this was in March, but it was a sweeps. They killed Will Gardner, the character. Josh Charles's character, he got shot and killed in the courtroom. And the thing that was so amazing about it was you were positive he wasn't going to die.
Yep.
because he was one of the two main characters, and the show was successful, and it had a long way to go. It did a couple of seasons after that, and then they announced at the end, "Now we lost him. He's dead."
You're like,
What? And I'll never forget that. And I went, "Well, that was a sweep stunt no one saw coming." And it got a lot of headlines. And maybe it even bought another year or two for the show.
Yeah. Well, the one that I remember was if you remember on Must See TV Thursday night, they had a hurricane come through, and all the shows were affected by the hurricane. And I guess this was my comic book mind. I love the idea that all the shows that were appearing on Thursday night at the time were interconnected. Like just
Huh.
like how Phoebe's sister Ursula would always show up on Mad About You. Stuff like
yes.
that made,
Yeah.
listen, I didn't date a lot, okay? These are the things that kept me going. So that was a sweep stunt that always stuck out with me. But if you're listening at home and you have a sweep stunt that stuck out to you, you can click on the fan mail button. I'd love to hear from you. We get a lot of great fan mail from you, and we love to hear more. Now, before we talk about our good friend at Steven Singer, we had an emergency call from Angelo yesterday.
Yes.
That the bear, the much maligned the bear, dropped a secret episode in between the fourth and fifth season. Fifth season's coming out next month, but they dropped what was essentially episode 11 of season 4, a flashback prequel episode called Gary, where cousin and now I can't remember his name. The main
Mikey.
Mikey.
Go to Gary, Indiana, and we get a little insight into Michael's character. Rhea, well, first off, Angelo, tell me, you have a theory as to why they dropped this, and I want to hear Rhea's thoughts on
I'm
the episode.
hoping anyway, because I'm out. I have already said I don't need any more of the beer. The last 2 seasons were putrid. But going back before they had the restaurant, that was the most interesting period for the beer, when it was a little sandwich shop and they brought in the guy who had, the beer, the guy who had learned all this fancy cooking. And I think they went back there to find their roots again, because they lost the mojo that they had in telling that story. And that's why I am not watching it yet, for 2 reasons. A, the boycott, and B, I have a lot of boycotts right now, Rhea.
Seriously.
I'm also boycotting. I'm boycotting Hulu because of the Jimmy Kimmel thing months and months ago. So I'm dying to know if it's worth watching. Tell us, guys. Tell us.
So here's what I say. So I popped it on last night while I was making dinner, which was appropriate. And it gave real insight into Mikey's character, who, I don't think there's no spoilers here. The whole show starts the bear because he killed himself and gave the restaurant to the bear, to Carm. But it goes back because the friendship between Richie and Mikey, when we meet Richie in the bear, he's kind of angry.
Yeah.
And in this, he's the happy-go-lucky guy. He's he's super excited to be going to Gary, Indiana. I don't know anybody who's super excited to be going to Gary, Indiana. And you see the darkness and the lightness in Mikey. You kind of understand where his character's coming from. The best scene in that episode for me was when they stopped into a little luncheonette to have lunch. And there was this woman, this Black woman, Alicia. And it reminded you, Ange, of the scene. Do you remember back when, I'm trying to remember her name, she's the sous chef, where she was trying to find a job and she happened upon the Bear's beef place. I can't think of her name right now. And she and Mikey sat at the table talking about food and what she liked.
Oh, yeah, I know her. Yes. That was a great scene.
Sydney
No, not Sydney. No, not Sydney. I'm talking about the other woman who worked, the Hispanic woman.
Oh, right.
So this woman, Alicia, just brought out this lightness in Mikey. He's like, why do you like working here? And it was a moment that reminded me of the first and second season of Why I Love the Bear. And so there was parts in there that Ange, I hope you're right, because I think one of the best episodes in TV ever is Richie's fork scene. Richie has always been my favorite.
Me too.
You get a little sense of what he was like before Mikey killed himself.
That's
So
great.
I found it interesting.
And just as a note that's interesting, this episode was co-written by the two stars, by Mas Bacharach and John Bernthal.
Oh, cool.
They're performing together on Broadway right now, and the
Oh,
Tony
wow.
Awards are coming out, and they should both be nominated, I believe. So, this is coming from two people who understand their characters very well. I thought it was very good. It was very heavy towards the end.
It was heavy.
It's a difficult watch, but it was a throwback to the glory of the first two seasons. I would
The
agree
roots of
with
it.
you.
I think it was a throwback to the roots of it.
I can't believe it would be a more difficult watch than seasons 3 and 4. But I think I would like to check it out for the reason
just in
that I love
subject
Richie.
matter.
Richie's my favorite character too. I want to see how he does with that. So I'll probably check it out at some point.
All right, yeah, it's right. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. But first, I got to hear your thoughts, Angelo, about our friends at Steven Singer, because I have a story. I went to Steven Singer this week, so I can talk about it.
Well, why don't you tell us what you saw at Steven?
So here's the thing. 2 weeks ago, Rhea showed the Mother's Day gift of it's like a pendant that kind of looks like a mom with like three diamonds, each representing a kid. And I said, hey, I think I have three kids. I could probably do this for my wife. So I didn't tell them who I was. I didn't give them the big, hey, I'm a podcaster that you sponsor, because they wouldn't know who I was anyway. But I walked in, I parked right across the street. I got my 2 tickets. I went in. They were out of the necklace, and they said, here's what we're going to do. We can either do a different necklace in the same price range. And I said, I'm kind of have my heart set on that. They said, okay, we'll order it, we'll send it to you. And I said, well, that's what that's going to cost me. And they said, nothing. And I said, but it's got to be here before Mother's Day. And they said, we will overnight it if necessary to get it here before Mother's Day. And it was just, guys, and I have to be clear about this. It was an 8-minute interaction.
Wow.
Is if you are someone like me that goes into a shop like that and you get the heebie-jeebies because you don't want to be in there, they didn't try to upsell me. They said, this is what you want. We're going to make it happen. We're going to get it there before Mother's Day. It was a lovely experience, and my wife, I hope, will very much enjoy the gift that Rhea suggested.
Right. Just to let you know, that heart necklace that we told you about, you can get it if you just have one kid. You can get one, little diamond. If you have 3, if you have 5, it comes in all different, I only have 1, but my mom had 6. That would have been a little bit more. But
Rhea, they had a 6 one in there. He said the only one we have left is the 6. I was like, because nobody who has 6 kids can afford this necklace.
But Rhea, how important is it to get a good Mother's Day gift?
Okay, here's what I'm going to say to all the guys out there. So here's what I'm going to make you feel like a hero to the mom, your partner, your wife, the mom of your kids. Get the gifts from your kids. Okay. Like Jay got this. So here's just like a little example. This is mommy. Okay. Which I love. Okay. That one, it's a silver classic mommy diamond necklace. This is $248, but they start around $148. Get the mommy from your kids for mom. Then get the gold dip rose from you, okay? Because the kids are going to be super excited that they're giving mom this special gift. She's going to know you got it. So, you're going to get the points right. And the gold dip rose, and you're done.
The corner of 8th and Walnut, also now in Newtown. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com.
And Jay, parking free, right? You get it validated in the city?
It's the best. I walked in, they knew exactly. They were like, hey, you're going to Steven Singer. Here's what you do. It was lovely. So, and guess what? They said, Steven Singer said, do you want to go get breakfast on us? I mean, not that they were going to pay for the breakfast. They were going to pay for my parking. They said, we'll give you another hour of parking if you want to go get breakfast. I said, I'm leaving, but thank you. So it was a great experience. Yeah. All right. So the only greater experience I could think of is listening to Rhea Hughes talk about British TV. Rhea, what do you got for us this week?
So I just have 2 things. I want to mention a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned, I was also on Hulu, a show called High Country, which was about a mystery in the Victorian part of Australia. I finished it yesterday. The last 2 episodes were so good. I had 20 minutes left before the Flyers game on Monday night, and I was annoyed that I couldn't watch it. So I finished it yesterday. That's how good it was. I was like, all right, well, the Flyers, maybe they won't score in the first period because they haven't scored in the first period the entire playoffs. but they scored twice within 30 seconds and still lost. But anyway, it's really the ending of High Country, really good. Highly recommend. What I'm super excited about is a show I recommended maybe a year ago on Apple TV called Criminal Record. And they just dropped season 2. Here's the annoying part about it. You can get the first 2 episodes, but they're going to drop them once a week. I kind of, now that I am a complete full-on streamer, I want it in one package, so that I will just warn everybody, if you want to wait a couple weeks, do it that way. But Criminal Record 2 drops with June, who is a detective from the first one, and I highly recommend it. Criminal Record season 1, absolutely loved it. So she's back. It starts with a protest. She's kind of policing a protest of immigrants against the British government. It turns ugly. A teenager is killed. There's a police investigation. She is going through the investigation and spots a picture of a young kid who's who's part of the protest that attacked the other protesters, and that this kid is supposed to be in jail for murdering his girlfriend, his 16-year-old girlfriend. It turns out that a different part of the police, led by Daniel Haggerty, season 1, people remember this, her nemesis on the police, are using him as an informant. So they're building up to it now, 2 seasons in. The 2 leads are fantastic. It's really well done. Like I said, my only complaint is I got to wait. It's not going to finish until June. There are 8 episodes. So it's so here's what I'll tell you. If you haven't seen Criminal Record season 1, watch that now. And then by the time you're done that, you'll get to watch season 2 unabated.
All right. That's available on Apple TV.
Apple, correct. Yep.
Always crushing it, Apple TV. All right, Angelo, you're back. We missed you last week. What do you got for us?
Well, I will say the best thing I saw, I am awaiting the review of Miss Rhea Hughes because she is an expert on European television. I expanded it beyond British. It's a great show called I Swear, about a gentleman who has had Tourette's and the challenges he has faced. It is beyond spectacular. But I may be wrong until I hear acclamation from Rhea. I'm not positive. All right.
We'll watch it.
All right. And in a moment, Jay and I are going to have a disagreement about Prada 2, but I did see something worth watching. It's on Netflix, as usual, documentary, Should I Marry a Murderer? What a story. This is such a story. It's only 3 episodes.
Say, Ranch, I saw that and I went, there's virtually no chance I will watch this, but in my brain I go, Angelo was going to watch this.
Yes. and the reason I watched it is because not only is the murderer crazy, the woman is just maybe crazier. The stuff she does, you would not believe the twists in this on how ridiculous this woman behaves. Beyond belief. It is a head scratcher. It is fascinating. It's kind of funny at times. It's crazy funny because her own parents think she's wacko. And they rip her in the documentary.
I love that.
It's really worth watching, even though it's it's stretched out like every documentary. They could have done it in one, but it's called Should I Marry a Murderer? It's worth seeing on Netflix.
The answer is no. I mean, for all the women out there or men, the answer is no.
Sometimes extenuating, no, you're right. Anyway, Devil Wears Prada 2. I went to see it last night on a Tuesday night in Chestnut Hill, and every seat was filled. On a Tuesday night. This is a phenomenon. So I had high expectations. I love the original. And this is nowhere, it doesn't have the charm. And I will now tell you why. Because when they did the original, Meryl Streep was a big star. Anne Hathaway was not. Emily Blunt no one knew who she was. Stanley Tucci was a character actor, Now they're all stars. So guess what? They got to do a sequel. They got to have big moments for all the big stars or they won't agree to do it. And it's contrived. It's slow. It's 2 hours. It's not terrible. I'm not going to say to you, you won't. It isn't a decent watch, but it's compared to the original, it stinks.
Can I ask a question of you before Jay goes? Did Gail like it?
Yes, but didn't love it. She said,
I was just curious.
It's good. The first one was great.
Got
So I'm with Gail. I have a Gail opinion about it. I think it's a B minus or a B
Oh,
somewhere in there. I didn't think it was spectacular. I think that the movie is completely on the back of Meryl Streep. She is the best part of this thing by far. She was the best part of the first one, but there was a
Yeah.
story that was compelling on the first one that isn't as compelling here. I thought whatever that subplot was with the Australian Angelo, I
oh,
could have done without all of those scenes. I didn't
yeah, that
need
was
a
not,
single
that
one of
was
those.
giving her a moment. You understand
Yeah,
that? But
right.
here's the thing.
Yes.
I totally disagree with you. Anne Hathaway is the only thing worth watching.
Oh no, Meryl Streep was
Meryl
great.
Streep she's peeling the paint. She's chewing the scenery. She's overacting.
I
She's
did
so,
not.
oh,
You don't
no.
think every time she
For
said something
shame.
mean,
Let me just
every
say
time she
this.
said
All right.
something mean, she had to check with her assistant, and the assistant would shake his head. I love that. That was funny.
CJ, I want to make this personal now. I'm unhappy.
Oh,
All
here we
right.
go.
Here's the thing. Okay, all right. No, I actually think you better go to the bathroom once more. There's still some in there. All right. Here's what I'm saying to you. Meryl Streep, that whole thing is just she has a much bigger part in the second one than she did in the first one. And
Right.
it doesn't wear well because she's prissy and annoying. And it's Anne Hathaway keeps the movie going. She's likable. Emily Blunt is just as bad as Meryl Streep. She's just peeling the paint. She's
Yeah, I agree with you
overacting.
on I agree with you on Emily Blunt. She was wasted, and that role was underwritten
Oh,
and undercooked.
terrible.
Yeah.
Listen, in
No,
the first movie, I thought Emily Blunt was great.
Yeah,
she
she was a
I thought she
was.
was
standout.
phenomenal in the
She
first one.
Yeah.
was. But here's the thing, and this is why I'm attacking Jay personally, all right? Because no one ever wants to say a negative word about Meryl Streep. And I love her. And I think
Yeah.
she's a national treasure. But she stinks in Devil Wears Prada too. She
Wow.
stinks in it.
I
Oh, we just lost our
disagree.
whole audience forever. Oh,
Hey, you know what? Write in right now. Click on the
no.
app and write in right now and tell Angela he was wrong. Meryl Streep is good in that movie. The movie has problems, but Meryl Streep is not one of them.
All right, let me review what we've talked about. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is in theaters now, as you know, because you've probably seen it already. The whole world has. SNL, you could see the regular version and the UK version, which, by the way, is still better, on Peacock. Stephen Colbert is on Paramount Plus. Jimmy Kimmel is on Hulu. The Bear special prequel episode available now on Hulu, as is High Country, which Rhea recommends very strongly, season 1, and also Criminal Record on Apple TV. And I'm going to say, take a shot at Should I Marry a Murderer on Netflix.
Yeah,
Meryl Streep bad. Should I marry a murderer? Good.
that's
All
right.
right,
You know,
see,
that's
Mia,
Angela
this is
in a
why I
nutshell.
retired. I can't take this anymore. That's why I retired.
That man right there is Angelo Cataldi. His book Loud is available on Amazon.com, Audible.com, or you can go to his website, AngeloCataldi.com, to grab it there. Rhea Hughes, you can listen to worldwide on the
My
Odyssey
view.
app. Yeah, her view right there. She's on the WIP morning show every morning. You can listen to her anywhere in the world on the Odyssey app, or you can check out her great Instagram for some prom pictures with Clark
Yes.
at Rhea Hughes
Nice.
94 WIP. Or if you would like more trenchant political observation, like you heard earlier in the show from me, go to my Instagram, which is hello Jay Black. Also, I have a 3-minute breakdown of how I would fix the ending of Devil Wears Prada 2 on
Ooh.
my Instagram. You can watch right now.
Oh, wow.
That I think is, as the writer of Psycho Storm Chaser, I think I'm the guy to listen to on this. So
Of course.
check that out. Guys, we thank you so much for listening. We thank our sponsor, Steven Singer, for sponsoring us. And we thank Rhea and Angelo every week for coming in and giving us such great TV content. We'll see you next week, everybody.